Welcome in, everyone. RFU Refugees podcast. Ted here, John here. I'm sure most of you guys are not watching us live because there is a current hockey team that is currently taking place in the playoffs as we speak, and they're up 2-0. So I wanted them to be up 10-0, so you guys would feel comfortable to join us on this show, talking about talking about DC United's first win. Sadly, they can only muster 2 goals at this point. But John, how you doing, my friend? How was your weekend?
It was fine. I had a kid's birthday party. That's some fun stuff. That was some trampoline party, and then Sunday was like a really nice day, temperature wise. The whole weekend's been great. We're like in this. Other than the fact that I can wash my car and it'll be recoated with pollen in 45 seconds, which for a guy who like really keeps his car or tries to really keep his car clean, it is the most crazy making thing that can happen. It's I can't get over it, and it's so dumb. Eventually it'll stop, but right now everything is green. All the trees have exploded in the last week here. I don't know. How about down there? Probably the same.
Yeah,
We're probably in the same temperature zone.
It was incredibly nice out today. Went, of course, did my usual refereeing in the morning, and then headed out to City Stadium for probably the wildest game I think I've seen at City Stadium. A 4-4 draw between the Richmond Kickers and Westchester.
What's
Jonathan,
Westchester?
That's up New York.
No, not where. What is it? Is it a League 2 team? Is it an Open Cup
League
match?
1 team. Okay. This is League 1 team. So this is the new 3rd Division team up in Westchester, New York. Jonathan Bolaños, former Kickers legend during that 1-year run he had with Emmy, was also out there playing for Westchester. So, and I didn't really realize it till about the mid game. But truly a wild game. 4-4. It looked like they were about ready to lose it off a penalty kick. That was kind of soft, I'll say the least. And then there was like a last minute, like 97th minute goal to tie it up and escape with the point. So my voice was pretty much shot by the end of the game. Thankfully, I took it easy so I could come and talk to y'all today. But yeah, that was my weekend. It was good. And DC United won, which also helps. So let's jump right into it, man. It's crazy to think about. This is their first win against a conference opponent. First road win. And first win against the Red Bulls in the Red Bulls since 2020. So a lot of things kind of broken one. And by the way, we talked about how there hasn't been a player that has scored 2 goals other than Christian Benteke. And Peglo said, "You know what? I'll go ahead and just take that. I'll take that mantle. I'll be the first one to do it."
Yeah, I'm glad it finally happened, and I'm glad it happened in the way it happened. I'm glad it wasn't like we assumed it would be like a center back. It would be something. It would be like 2 butt goals or something. But no, those counted. Those both were legit
goals, and they needed to be legit goals because Christian Benteke, of course, going on at 30 minutes. We'll get into a little bit. Some people speculating about whether the team plays better without Benteke. I will tell you,
in
you're
the
wrong.
Discord live chat, they were like, I know what the show's going to be about. I know you're going to have to say the words, "Is this team better without Christian Benteke?" And he's right.
The answer is
we did. We had to say that. Not that we are. Oh no. I'm saying he was right that we had to say that.
No, it's not. And we'll get into that in a minute. But I mean, lineup. Let's talk about the lineup first. Let's enter that lineup, of course. Same lineup as last week, which was for me maybe a little surprising. But he did talk up how the team played. You have Benteke, of course, your center forward. Then you have Peglo and Stroud, your left and right sided. I believe Peglo was on the left side. Yeah, most of the game. And then, of course, you had Kojima and Cervania as your center midfielders, Herrera and Schnegg as your kind of wing backs, and then your center backs of Bartlett, McNaughton, and Rawls. Let's first thing right off the bat, I think
the midfield, right? The midfield we're going to talk about, right?
Yeah. The midfield. Well, you go first on what you want to talk about the midfield.
I was just going to say that it continues to be the choice, that the fact that the 2 defensive midfielders that were brought in to anchor this team and build around are find themselves on the outside looking in from the start every game. And the player that played half of a season last year and a player who has been injured for a year and a half are the guys who just keep penciling in. Troy is looking. He's he's not mashing buttons at this point. Like I think he has got his guys. He's got the people that he thinks can actually, put his vision into practice. And right in the midfield right now, it's Kojima and it's Serenia. That's who it is, I think, for here on.
I don't want to count out any of those players, Enout or Peltola, just yet. I mean, I think it's still moments. There'll be opportunities for them to step in. I think there's been a shift. This team is kind of. I feel like this was kind of the first game where it was like, okay, now we're gonna like go back to basics. It's like we're gonna go back. We're gonna be a high pressing team. We're gonna try to win the ball. I'm looking at a stat page from Spot over on Blue Sky. They have a 22 on the high press, much more than I don't know if that's 22 high press moments, 22 as far as how much they're high pressing, but that's pretty reflective of what I saw in this game. They were not really trying to hold the ball. They were trying to win the ball. They were trying to hit quickly on the counter. These were all the things when this team was successful and this team was rolling early on in 2024 and then late on really in the season heading into the end of 2024. They were really, really good at pressing, winning the ball, forcing odd man opportunities, feeding them to Benteke. And it felt like, Troy was early in the season was maybe trying to evolve them a little past that point and trying to make them more of a passing team, build up. They wanted them to hold the ball a little bit more and possess the ball a little bit more. Not a necessarily bad idea. And I think we saw some moments where they were like, they would be faced with a situation where I think in the past they would try to go for it or they would try to push it or sort of force the issue. And then they're like, nope, let's sit back. Let's possess the ball. Let's move it. So different strategy.
Bless you.
So differing sort of return to kind of how this team was successful. And it was working. They were generating chances and looking really, really good. I thought particularly, I know we'll talk about João Pedro, but I'd say both Rawls, McNaughton, and Bartlett had moments where they literally made it so difficult for Red Bulls to kind of pass through the middle or try to play the balls. They were late in that second half. They were kind of reduced to kind of long balls.
Someone had brought to the point that Kyrell's looked the best he's ever looked, and it's also because he had two forward players who were not going to burn him. Mm-hmm. They were not going to run in behind him and slip him. And that if the game is in front of him, he looks like a lot better of a player. I think that's a good read on that he's struggled. He's struggled when he has to turn his back and run because he's not fast enough, really, or compared to at least to the speedy forwards in this league. So, glad that situation presented itself. None of the three are particularly super fast. I would say of those three, who do you think is the fastest? McNaughton, Bartlett, or it's not Rawls, but who? Bartlett or probably him, I would say.
Probably Bartlett, maybe McNaughton, just from a pure. But again, he's had some injuries concerns, so maybe not quite as quick. But yeah, we do not have speedy sort of center backs. I think the shift to the 3-4-3 has helped them kind of keep the game in front. I think it's helped. It's also given sort of more of a clear of a role between the wingbacks as well. When they're kind of pushed back, both Herrera and Schnegg can kind of cover some of those moments. They can sort of cut in, when a player gets beaten on the dribble, they can kind of cut out wide. They can sort of have the center backs kind of fold in. And that's what we kind of saw in this game. Red Bulls had some opportunities. The passing chart, there was a lot of connection, a lot of build up, and then basically it just kind of all dissipates as you get further up the field. So DC, I thought, did a really good job of really containing the Red Bulls and really not giving them too many big opportunities. They gave up some because, again, this team is not. This is, by the way, this in no way like changes. Oh my gosh, this team's on a run now. They're going to move it. I think we saw some positive changes. I think we saw some things that I think to say this team is not going to be 6-1 bad to another MLS team. I think they're sort of returning back to normal. There's less of a chance of that happening, I think, from what I've seen over the past couple games. So yeah.
Let's talk about the injury that occurred here in the first half. Mm-hmm. That changed the game in a major way.
Changed the game. I'll disagree there a little bit. I don't think it changed the overall mentality of the team or kind of how they were playing. But I think it was significant. Losing Benteke is...
If Christian Benteke was on the field, I don't think you would see Peglo in the position in the field he was playing in. He would not have scored that first goal. The goal there, he is in the middle of the field, heading himself a ball on a long ball from Barraza. That would have been Benteke. So anyway, Benteke looks like a quad injury. Tried to play through it. Had to come off shortly after. Very upset. In the post game, Troy says it doesn't feel like it was a major injury. Well, not a big pop or anything, but they've got to see what's going on. Tim asked, "Are we concerned about the injury?" I think we in the short term, no. I think if this turned into something that was a longer term injury, I would be very concerned. Dominic Baji did a good job, put in a good shift. How he was playing, he was pressing really well. He was drawing a bunch of fouls. I don't think he's going to score the volume that Benteke is going to score, but that's somewhat obvious and duh. But yeah, I'm not super concerned yet because they have told us not to be. So there's that. But let's talk about how do you want to structure the big question? Do you want to talk about the rest of the game, and João Peglo's two brilliant moments first, or how would you like to do it?
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions about Benteke. Todd Dodge says, "Do you think the team looked better without Benteke?" I believe we got some other questions related, just asking, the team looks down. I think it's real easy to look and say, "Oh man, they scored 2 goals without Benteke. That means they have to be playing better than Benteke." And I'm not saying people are doing that. They looked really good. I don't think there was any. For me, they're watching this game. They were looking extremely dangerous when Benteke was out there on the field. And their overall sort of how they sort of approached that game, the sort of on-the-ground pressing, the intensity that they brought it. Benteke contributed to that. He also had a nice sort of headed opportunity that was saved by Carlos Cornell in that game.
Should have scored there, probably, I think.
He was just as involved in that kind of press and that kind of ability to win the ball and sort of generating chances that I don't think you can sit here and say that he was ineffective in this game. I think he had moments where he was very effective and very well could have scored. I think overall what we saw in this game is I felt like the team as a whole stepped up to sort of get him engaged, get him opportunities, create sort of those quick counters to create better opportunities. And I saw that sort of, even when he sort of left the game, I thought he continued. And I really didn't think Baji, he did a little bit, but I don't think he did it to the level that Benteke could do it. And I think if Benteke's out there, maybe Benteke's on that header, sure. Maybe he's not, or maybe they find to get a goal some other ways. I think they would have walked out maybe with a little more of a comfortable win if Benteke's out there versus if he's not out there.
My point on how this game went and also the difference there, João Peglo scores 2 goals on basically individual efforts. Mm-hmm. Obviously the bike was service to him, but the 2 things were moments of magic by him. The team was not all of a sudden with Benteke out stringing 45 passes together with possession and scoring. So as far as like this changes the way the team plays, it does not. It does not. These goals, they were special. They were not like the function of a systemic attack that was producing a volume of chances. They had 4 shots on goal. 2 of them were in the net. One of them was the Benteke header that should have been a goal, and I don't remember what the 4th one was. And they had 30% of the ball. So like it's not like they what they did in my mind is they played the right style, the right tactics for the moment. And New York was wasteful with their chances and wasn't able to really take advantage of how much of the ball they had. And DC United did well in the last minute defendings. Barraza looked decent again. Again, there was questions about what are we going to do with him, and I think the answer is going to keep rolling him out there. But certainly don't draw too many conclusions. You already said it. Don't draw conclusions from this match other than this was a rare road win and against an opponent you want to beat, and they did everything. Everything came out as well as it could have, considering all of the variables.
All the variables. We got a lot of questions about sort of, to your point, Barraza June. I'm assuming he's spelling Benteke. It's Benteke with an X in the name. Says Barraza June. Here's my take. Barraza sweeper keeper, better with his feet, fits our system better. June better stop shopper, reaction time, loads of potential. I'd rather see June, but I'd love to hear your take. Kyle says defense still an issue, but Barraza Port Avenue. What will it take to see June again? I think we will see June on May 6th against the Charleston Battery. I think we'll see him get his opportunity in the Open Cup. We'll talk. We'll get into maybe a little bit about the Open Cup and DC's participation in it. We had a question related to that too that I think is interesting and has an answer. But I think you have to look at right now. Barraza is certainly a much more mature keeper. June's confidence, I think, was kind of shot. So I think it was appropriate to kind of say, rather than just keep throwing him to the wolves, let's bring it back. You give Barraza another opportunity. I don't think Barraza is going to be so fantastic that he's going to, blow June away. And I think June will get another opportunity. I think if this team can go on a little bit of a Open Cup run, he's going to get those opportunities. I think he will be the quote. I think they will play him as the cup keeper for those moments to still give him minutes, to still give him opportunities. But in the meantime, you had to make the switch, and it's been a good switch. Barraza has come out and made some saves. I don't know if I necessarily buy like the better shot stopper from June. We saw some good saves from June, but Barraza so far
the stats don't bear that out. The stats do not bear out that he's a better shot stopper. The expected goals is not as great.
Barraza made some really, really impressive saves, and it just looked more comfortable, more confident in sort of coming out. I think there have been a couple moments where there were sort of breakaways for the Red Bulls or for teams I've seen, and it's like Barraza is able to just anticipate that a little better. Think back to the situation against San Jose where he kind of hesitates to come out. If he comes out sooner, maybe he makes a play, maybe he makes a clearance on that play. I think you see Barraza being much, much more confident about that. He said Barraza will put Kim out of a job. I don't think that will be entirely the case. I think it's just a matter of, maybe there needed to be a reset. Having a sturdy hand there can help sort of improve the defense, can get them feeling a little more confident. They can be, and then, situations you can kind of bring them in.
Yeah. So I think that the goalkeeper was not the function of our losses. It was certainly, but it was the easiest change to make, particularly based on the profiles of the goalkeepers. So I don't think we need to draw too many long-term conclusions about this. I think they'll run him out. They're going to run Luis out until he gets banged up a little bit, or he gives up 5 goals or 6 goals in a game. Then they'll switch back again. It's not going to. June did not have the pedigree and experience to guarantee he's going to get the job back right away. It's just, I'm not concerned about it. I've got so many other things that I'm concerned about that, like, making sure June gets his reps is like not anywhere in the top 5 of them at the moment. And he will. He'll get it in the Open Cup. He'll get it as the summer goes along. We got a lot of games up. We're very early in the season still.
Yeah. Next question from Jacob. I want to ask, if Benteke went down, they brought in Baji. He does a lot of running, but never really looks dangerous in front of net. If Benteke is out the next game, is Baji still the best option? Yep. Yeah, that's your Benteke light that you kind of need. And, he does do a lot of the hold up play well that I think can help get players like Stroud, like Peglo sort of into the game. Another player that just continues, we talk about Peglo's emergence. I have to think when Ali Mackay saw those 2 goals, he maybe just breathed like a huge sigh of relief. We've seen some positive things from Peglo. This was maybe a bit of a coming out party for him to say, "Hey, I'm a good player. I can make a difference for this team." If you are, the one thing we've talked about with Ali Mackay, he's been pretty good at finding, good talent within MLS. We talked about Aaron Herrera. Schnegg has been okay. He's been pretty good, but he hasn't really had a major hit on an international sort of signing, a player who is like, yes, this player makes the team better. This is a player that other MLS teams would want as a starter. And we talked about that a lot. And I think after this game, I'm like, you know what? I think there would be some teams that could use a João Peglo out there on the field. So something to watch. I think that's, a good thing, a good sign for the future.
I've been bigging up him since he debuted. I'm very happy to see him score. I do not think that after scoring a goal in the what minute was it? 35th minute. You should do the sleep celebration. That's that's something you do in the 89th minute there, João. And then he did it again after the second one. That's better. But the first one, think of be a little more chill.
Yeah, man. Hey, we didn't talk about this as well. The DC United got a lead in the first half and then held on to that lead. They did not drop this lead, drop points from a leading position. Got to talk about an improvement.
Did you think that, so after Choupo-Moting scored off of McNaughton's face or head, did you feel a 2-2 was coming, or did you not? I actually strangely felt that they were going to see it out, because the way the goal happened, it wasn't like the field was tilted and it was only a matter of time like it normally feels when we're up 2-1.
I mean, you always worry about that as a fan. I also, when I was watching this game, I arrived back from the Kickers game. I was extremely just emotionally drained from said Kickers game. So maybe I was a little docile, and I was just kind of like, but you kind of watch what happens next. Do you feel like the team that the Red Bulls are starting to press the game? And I say there's usually about a 5 to 10 minute window after you give up that goal and it's 2-1, where you're kind of like, you need to see what happens next. And if the team is under pressure, if there's you're like, it's coming. And I think what we saw is that the team just, settled down. They continued to sort of play their game, and Red Bulls didn't really have any other option. It was over the top, trying to find long balls over the top. They were trying to bypass the midfield. DC then, of course, subbed in Borisy now. They subbed in Jacob Murrell, I think, at that point, to try to just, clog up that midfield, and really just gave Red Bulls no other option but to sort of just try to play the ball over the top. And all the defensive line was sort of up for it and was able to keep it sort of together. I want to hear Ryo77, dead cat bounce or something more substantial for this?
Neither. It is neither a dead cat bounce or something substantial. It is a moment. It's not a dead cat bounce because they're not going to lose 5-1 next week. Who are they playing next week?
Philly.
Not going to lose 5-1 next week.
You know the history of DC and Philly, right?
I do. And they just beat Atlanta. They just beat Atlanta 3-0. Is it at home or in Philly?
It's in Philly.
Okay, never mind. They might lose 5-1. That's entirely possible. I think that this neither saves the season, neither tells the team has not found a new way to play. They've just for once were able to tighten up. They were able to play somewhat watertight. And you've got to do that. You got to always do that on the road. But they would be even happy with that performance at home based on how the season's gone so far. They'd be like, yeah, absolutely. 30% of the ball, no problem. 4 shots on goal, no problem.
It at the very least, it stemmed the bleeding. So it stopped the bleeding. It seems like it reversed. It gives you some momentum. It allowed the video team to drop their little hype up documentary.
Have they been sitting on that since week 1 and they're just waiting?
No, it shows other games. Like it shows the Chicago game. I actually haven't watched it all the way through, but it goes through the other games. I think they were waiting on it. I think they had it ready after I forget the game, maybe after the Montreal game, and they're like, well, let's wait till they win and then we'll drop it. And then it was like weeks and weeks and weeks. Oh no. Because you don't want to drop it. Like you don't drop it after like San Jose. So they were sitting on that for maybe a little bit. While they got it ready. But it's some good content.
It made me laugh. That definitely made me laugh. I was like, somebody in the comms team was like, or the marketing team was like, oh, well, we just gonna what if we don't win till July? Are we just not gonna put it out? Do we need to keep adding more stats? What do you want me to do here? Or more clips? It becomes like an hour and a half documentary of the first win in the middle of the year. Oh well.
All right. Todd Dudge says Troy seems to have the team more dialed in for that match. There's no way that he shouldn't see out his contract. Is his comment.
The swings that go back and forth on one win. Yeah, the seat is less hot now after that, I guess.
Yeah, it's less hot. I think, I think at this point, I think he tried to see if he could instill something else. I kind of wonder if he said, I know this is going to be a rough goings, but I want this team to at least try to do something unique, or try to pass, or try to move, and try to be less sort of helter skelter pressy. And to their even in that sort of 6-1 defeat to San Jose, they had one really, really good moment where they had some excellent buildup, and they just build the ball, passed all the way through San Jose to find Benteke for that sort of last goal before the half. So, I mean, they've had moments where they've been able to pass and move it very well. I think we did see in this game, there were a lot of good moments, but there were also a lot of moments where they win the ball quickly. Not everybody's quite on the same page of the next pass, and it's like little pass goes awry, or that kind of last pass loses it. There were a few moments like that. Some crosses, I think, from Schnegg and Herrera were not really dialed in. Even with Benteke out there. So just, some things to kind of keep in mind, kind of how this team is still trying to sort of learn themselves. But, I think the early moments did serve this team well in their ability now. Maybe they can kind of, put the foot on the ball a little bit, control it in moments. So maybe it was a worthy exercise, even though it did cost them games. I mean, this team's not winning MLS Cup, so maybe it was worthwhile to say, let's learn how to sort of put our foot on the ball. We're going to struggle a little bit, and then when it starts to sort of trend badly, we're just going to go back to what we know how to do, which is to press and sort of make things difficult for the opposing team. Trying to see we got some other related questions. I do want to talk about this, Todd Dudge. We got the Open Cup coming up. I think I did the Wednesday show, DC United drawing up against the Charleston Battery, setting up the Coffee Pot Cup. I am trying to figure out if the Coffee Pot Cup is still a thing, or where it is, or who has it.
We might have to remake it. We might have to reconstitute it.
I was a little disappointed. I watched the draw and I was like, is someone going to bring, come on. I was like, the former DC comms person is on there. Surely she's going to bring up the fact that it's like the Coffee Pot Cup.
She didn't?
She did not bring it up. She
left us and she forgot all she knew.
Yeah.
So all the lore is gone.
Yeah, but DC United, if you don't know the history, and if you were not a Patreon subscriber, you didn't listen to this, the Coffee Pot Cup originated from, I believe, the 99 DC United team, went down to Charleston, lost to Charleston in the Open Cup, and then apparently were very upset and did some damage to the locker room, including denting a coffee cup. I think they removed some shower heads and stuff like that. And then as such, the supporters of DC United and Charleston Battery got together, and they literally had a coffee pot that they bought, turned it into a trophy, and the winning team, the losing team, buys beer for the coffee pot to the winning team supporters group. So DC United has not faced Charleston, I think, in a game that matters. There's been a couple friendlies. I think the last time they faced each other was in a game that actually mattered, I think, was the 2008 U.S. Open Cup. So this
final at RFK that I watched and was there for. Were you there too?
I was there. No, I was not there. I think I watched it on TV. I was still in high school at the time, so I was not living in the
flexing on your youth on me.
Close in the DC area. I was there for, I think, the 2009? I think I went because I was in college, so I went to that one. But
is that the Seattle? There was an Open Cup. I was there with my family. That was a wild one. That was a L, right? I'm pretty sure they lost.
Yeah, it was also the goalkeeper losing his mind and stomping on the Seattle player, thinking he could get away.
Lewis Creighton or Josh Wicks?
Josh Wicks, yeah, that was Josh Wicks.
That's the first Josh Wicks mention on this podcast in 7 seasons. By the way, I'm pretty sure we've not mentioned him at all.
Crazy dude. But let's talk a little bit about the Open Cup. Todd Dudge said, would you rather make the playoffs or win the U.S. Open Cup?
Open Cup.
Win the Open Cup. Absolutely. 100%. It's a trophy.
Not even a hesitation at all in that.
Not even bring a trophy home. I think that would get you Champions League. That would get you everything that you were looking for, which is to win a trophy. And I hope Troy takes this tournament seriously. I want this team to go out and to try to win this trophy. It's been a while since this team has really taken this trophy seriously. This team, I think, could still find their way to make the playoffs. I think that's still definitely not out of the equation because everybody makes the playoffs. But winning the Open Cup, I think, would bring some semblance of an actual trophy back to DC. It would, even if they missed the playoffs, it would be some sort of momentum that would kind of carry this team through. I would give a trophy to Benteke, which I would love to see, considering how he's doing. So
it's the final threshold for his Hall of Tradition eligibility. He needs that trophy.
He does. So, so that game would be May 6th, I believe, that Tuesday. I know it's that Tuesday, 7 p.m. at Audi Field. Apparently, they're giving away free tickets. Every season ticket holder gets 2 tickets to that game for free. So if you have nothing to do on a Tuesday night and you're in the DC area, you can probably get a free ticket.
If
let's go out there,
I'm going to go to that game.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
I'll be in DC for work that night. That rules. hilarious. So if you have a free ticket in a really good spot and you want to give it to somebody, hit your boy up. I want to live good at this game.
Just go to the Discord, man. I guarantee you someone
I'm sure.
will give
I know,
it.
but it's cool. It's cooler to do it like this. It's a flex.
Sean Bassard. Anything else? We're getting to some questions about sort of the future. Any other things you want to bring up from this game? Anything that really stood out?
I thought it was, nothing that we've not talked about in previous years. The death of the Atlantic Cup and sort of hearing Lloyd Sam talk about it. And who's the guy that's talking? Who's the play-by-play guy?
I do not know.
I don't know his name. He was whatever. But like it is notable how much this is dead for everybody. And that happens. This team has not been competitive for a while, and New York stopped trying to be relevant for the most part, despite having some seasons that were better than others. So it's kind of, it was cool to get the win. It is so removed from the old days that it's like a completely different thing. They almost need a new name. If this is going to be a new rivalry, there needs to be something in this game that was rivalry provoking. These teams don't hate each other anymore. All the players are gone. Anybody that knew anything about it is gone. It's just different. That did not translate. That has not been brought through the side, because when you flip an entire team out and over, and there's no sort of through thread through the team anymore, it's in the fans' heads only, and there's not as many fans as there used to be either.
There's no villains. There's no. I mean, really, the last sort of significant moment I can remember, I think, was Bradley Wright Phillips getting 100 goals against DC United. And that, I think I talked with this with Mark Fishkin. Lovely guy, don't like his team, but lovely guy on the show. And I said, what's going to take for the Open Cup to come back? These two teams have to face each other in the playoffs. That's what has to happen first before we can talk about anything about this rivalry coming back, about there being, because that's what brought it to the forefront was, the 1996 playoffs, was the constant moments, the weird stuff that just kept happening with this team. It really just hasn't had. I mean, the only other real sort of positive DC moment, I guess, was the Eric Sorga goal in 2020, and the firing, I think, of Chris Armas was the coach at the time. So, I mean, but there just hasn't been anything to like the level of, the playoff series that was in 2014. And that's really the last time this rivalry really mattered. And, it's a lot harder now. There's a lot more teams, so it's harder to have that kind of playoff matchup. And we are not the NHL. As much as people hate the NHL playoff format, it does force a lot of sort of regional rivalries. So you had the Caps and the Penguins playing each other in the playoffs all those years. That kind of heated that rivalry up. So, it's a lot harder to have those moments. But I think these two teams, if DC finds a way to be competitive or to be back in the upper echelons, if New York finds a way to be back in the upper echelons of MLS, that is when you'll see this rivalry really start to kind of kick off again, and start to see it grow. Right now, this just feels like a normal regular season win. But it was good to see the traveling. There was like 60 fans traveled up for this game, so we haven't seen that in a while. I will say that much, though. Though this is like the first. Go ahead.
Dancing Caesar from with the GIF after the goals being scored. So that was fun. It was good to see all the people that we talked to in Discord. To be young and to be able to like do those road games still, it's the best thing in the entire universe. I used to do it all the time. I loved it. I wonder if anybody's going to Philly this weekend. I wonder if they're going to keep the bus rolling.
I think they have to. I think they almost have to.
I hope they do.
Yeah, I hope they do.
It's not me, so I hope they do.
Yeah, I mean, the game is at least on Saturday, and it's a 4:30 game, so that's usually always a good kickoff. So, hopefully we'll see them do that. Sorry, I was getting distracted. We getting some questions about how they're going to line up against Philly. I would say probably you'll see the same lineup. I don't think they'll really change anything. I don't think there's really any reason to sort of change anything. PJ Cad says, do we think the club's love affair with Pirani is over, or they continue to work on him in the background?
I think he's cooked as cooked as Peltola is in his eyes. If you look at the last start he had was the San Jose game. They kept him out there for a long time. He looked completely lost. I think I think Troy is. I don't think this team has the luxury of giving him a lot more minutes right now when they're in this survival mode already early in the season, and the position he plays. They've switched philosophies a little bit around him. From my perspective, I think he is a super sub, which he is best suited for, and he always has been since the start.
Yeah, I will make a call here. I think he is gone I think he's gone in the summer. I think they are going to find a Brazilian team that will be interested in him. They were already looking to move him anyway. They probably won't maybe get a lot of value for him, but I think he will be gone in the summer. I think this team is planning on a number 10 to come in and replace him and be a big time number 10. Stephen Goff has talked about it. There's been a lot of pretty much like, this is the summer window that they're going to do it. And it really needs to be. This has to be the summer window. It's an incredible gamble, I think, from Ali Mackay that he has essentially taken 2 specific window, like almost 4 windows to reach the point where he's actually going to go out and buy a DP. Now, some of that was forced by the roster decisions and everything else. But, he could have gone out there and still signed like, a DP number 10 in the summer window, regardless of whether it made sense. And, nope, he decided to go with Matty Peltola as sort of that young designated player. So coming up on, his 4th window of 6 that he has in his like 3-year contract, this was a pretty big window for him to get right and to make sure that it's the right move. And I think ultimately his tenure at this team is going to be judged on who he brings in there. That's going to be the final deciding moment for him.
Do you want some bad vibes here before
sure,
we move
why
on? Not? What do you imagine the score line is? The score differential between DC United and Philly since 2022, since July 2022.
17 to like 1, 2,
22-3. Real bad. Real bad. That's a football score. That's an Eagles Commanders game. Not now because the Commanders are good again, but bad.
What do you think about Christian Fletcher? We didn't get any questions about him, but he's, it was kind of funny because Troy the Same, I think, was trying to catch himself because he can't really talk about it because Christian Fletcher's around, but they got to wait for his international transfer certificate to sort of release him back from his loan. We talked about it a little bit. Do you think he makes the lineup against Philly?
You mean the 18?
The 18.
Yeah.
Do you think he plays?
Yeah, I think Rita Zohir does not play, and then he comes in.
Yeah.
I think Barajas is gone. So that's he's not even making the 18s anymore. So that's that.
Yeah. And Gavin Turner, I mean, I think Barajas will stick around for the Open Cup. I think there might be some need to maybe have, although there are I think limitations. You have to have a certain number of U.S. players in the Open Cup. So maybe I don't know quite how that.
Well, I know that we're gonna play a Ghanaian Premier League team again in the fall. So if he sticks around, there's some minutes there for him.
Well, he's only on like a 4-month loan, by the way.
I know,
so
it was a joke. It was a joke. I just wanted to say Ghanaian Premier League team. That's kind of what I wanted to do. Where's the Capital Cup? We have not heard anything about the Capital Cup, and it's already April, and we don't know if we're going to play a random Ligue 1 team, a random Honduran team, and, somebody from what?
Just type in CNN.com and just kind of read the news for a bit, and you'll see why maybe
so
there might not be a Capital Cup.
We can have a Capital City Cup that's all league, all USL sides, a mini Open Cup, maybe, as long as they're in the same region.
That kind of ruins. And I don't know if there's going to be a Capital Cup because they're hosting the Club World Cup games.
You're right.
So I don't know.
This stupid FIFA tournament is ruining the one chance that DC United had for a trophy this year. It's unbelievable, unconscionable. Get out. Wow, we didn't even talk about that. The fact that he was just like strutting around Audi Field and they rolled out the red carpet for him.
Yeah,
and this is a straight legit crook, and just like, yay, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
I mean, the people who facilitated that event did not have much of a say in it. I'm sure Dave Johnson wasn't like, yes.
I mean,
in the net.
To talk a little bit about that, like what the United States is going through right now with, people literally just trying to visit the country being turned away. Like, there's no habit that this World Cup is not going to be a disaster. Like,
for sure.
and
the Olympics is pretty soon too in LA. It's in 2 years.
Like, there's no way this is not. And like, in really, Frantino's just kind of, oh, well, they'll figure it out. I think he is gambling on all of this kind of running its course, and then like, people saying, oh, I'm just here for the World Cup, and like, there being some sort of decree from high above to let people through. But like,
yeah, ICE takes a month-long vacation.
Yeah, this is going to be
I wouldn't travel here. I wouldn't. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't do it. Also, we haven't, we're not going to get too deep in it, but like, I'm wondering how much this affects the international market for players who want to come play here, and like the concept of visas, the concept of getting, naturalized so that you can get rid of your green card and become whatever the situation is. It's all up in the air, and I wonder if that if you could chart the players, where they're coming from, are they coming? Are our teams going to start like prioritizing and locking down their domestic talent because they know that they theoretically are not going to be disappeared or anything? I'm just curious how that works in the next couple of years. That'll be interesting to watch, I guess.
So that, not that that's stopping Frantino sees deals with KSA Qatar. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a World Cup here. There's going to be a Club World Cup here. I do wonder, the question is like, what about, Lucas McNaughton? They kind of brought in with the idea that he was going to be close to his green card. As far as I know, he has not achieved that green card. And apparently, like, we're with our, closest neighbor, we're apparently in a massive trade war with them for stupid reasons. But yeah, I don't know how that's impacting just getting stuff done, getting visas. And that's going to be something to watch, I think, across the league this year with the summer window. And like, how much more
normally had a Department of State contact, and now he calls them, and it's a chat bot. They're just like, please submit your request into our chat bot, and we'll get back to you in 7 to 12 months.
It's the AI chat bot run by Elon. All right, that's enough. That's enough international.
I have a feeling that's what should be our Patreon show, is us just letting it rip.
I was just talking international news. There was something else. Oh, do we want to discuss? I do think we should discuss now. Obviously, Next in Line podcast, the guys over there in Loudon, with the whole situation with MLS.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
MLS's Pablo Maurer story about Loudon. So let's how do we frame DC United is just doing some weird. They are just, the stuff they're doing just sometimes just doesn't make sense. And I think this to me, this whole situation, reading the story, I can't help but think all the stuff that's going on with DC Power, which we have not talked about because they're not, it's really just not worth talking about because they are in front of 300 fans. No disrespect to the players that are out there, that I'm sure this is a great opportunity, play for professional team. These are players that, need professional, but just the avenue about this, and then combined with what's going on, Loudon United apparently just steamrolling USL Championship. They're sitting top of the table, and they're having to deal with a situation in a stadium that's kind of half finished, that I think DC just kind of abandoned after they had to sell the team.
To their credit, whatever. They entered into this agreement to get the space with Loudon. They signed this contract. They were like, we wanted to run our DC United 2 team out of this. USL and MLS said you can't do that anymore. So then it has no value to us at all. So we were able to get some dummy to give us some money for this stadium that's a crackerjack stadium, and a team at that point that had never made the playoffs and had no budget, and all they had was Ryan Martin basically, and they were able to get Attain Sports to pay money for it. And then Attain Sports has apparently just run the club into the ground as far as a limited investment. There's no ticket sales or ticket staff. There's no one selling tickets. There's no, the players are washing their own jersey because they didn't replace the equipment manager. We all know the limitations of Segra Field. We've talked about that since they built it. It's only getting worse and gotten worse. But now the team Attain is we've already got these 13 minor league baseball teams. We need to divest ourselves of this a little bit. So now they've given themselves to Virginia Revolution is the name of the. Mm-hmm. It's a youth club. They've
merged it, yeah.
So if you were ever wondering why your league fees are so expensive in youth soccer, it's because apparently they have enough money that they could purchase or run a professional league and pay players and pay staff with said said results and said revenues. So Steve Birnbaum, who has gone from retired from DC United to GM of DC Power to GM of Loudon United in the course of, I think, 6 months. I don't know if he still is the GM of DC Power. I don't know if he's just going to like take different hats on and take them on and off, depending on what part of the performance center he's in. Did you know that Loudon wasn't training at the performance center anymore?
Yeah.
Or if they were, it was like, don't look at the DC United players. Don't even breathe in them. You need to just like be a ghost. And when they leave, you can maybe come out and we'll let you kick for a little.
Which is a little crazy because Troy Lesane talked about how he wanted to have like a connection between DC and Loudon. Like he talked about that in his press conference, and now it just feels like that there's just none of that. There's nothing.
Well, once they no longer could like stash players there and get what they wanted out of it, then there really was nothing at all for them. Does DC Power actually have a front office or run by another chatbot? I think it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip.
I have to feel like there was the DC Power team just makes no sense.
This was once again Attain Sports, who was going to buy this club and operated out of Segra, backed away. I think cash flow problems are so that Attain has hosed multiple teams here in one place. All that aside, Loudon United is doing the Major League 2 or Major League 1 movie thing where they're just going to win the whole damn thing. And the owners are just going to be mad about it, I guess, although no one's trying to move them now. It's just wild. Ryan Martin is a saint for keeping quiet about this. I think there's been no secret that the conditions there have been poor. There have been, there's stuff that gets talked about, but certainly not to this extent. So congrats to him for seeing it out. I still think if he's got an agent, and there's teams that are sniffing around, he should absolutely run away. He should, if anyone calls, just go. Just get away from here. This is a bit of a mess. No matter what Virginia Revolution does, it's not going to be. Again, Virginia Revolution has enough money. They're talking about replacing the pitch and getting new turf, and they're talking about potentially fixing the bathroom situations. How much money do these people have?
Yeah, there's a lot of money in youth soccer. I will say the Richmond Kickers were run by the youth club for a while, and just go look at some of those standings, I think, before they moved to League One. The Virginia Revolution might have a ton of money.
They must.
DC Academy players still play on Loudon's fee under that change too.
They do.
Yeah, they still do. I will say that the relationship between Loudon and DC is basically none. They are minority owners. They literally just sign a paycheck over to say here's some money, and they see none of that come back. So
they're as tight. They have the same relationship you have with the guy who lives down the hall that you like see once in a while in the hallways. You're like, hey, what's up? That's what they've got now. That's what it is.
And to respect about the DC Power thing, I do think there had to be some sort of contractual thing that DC got kind of sucked into.
Yeah, I think
with USL, and they're like, look, you got to field a team. Like you signed this contract, otherwise you got to pay us like X amount of money.
And they're like, whoa, pay money? No, we're not doing that.
we'll just burn our money on a team. But yeah, not a great look. Not a great look around for. Apparently, the new owners are being a little more forthright, according to Pablo Maurer. There seem to be more willing to fix things up, and hey, we'll wait and see. So maybe there's some positive.
When did that press release drop?
It dropped right at like an hour after the story.
What? I can't believe it. I can't believe they were not prepared after the New York Times asked them for a quote.
They were drawn as soon as Pablo called for a quote. They were like, no comment. All right, guys, let's get this done right now. Let's announce this. This is going to drop and make us look really bad.
Oliver Gage, who was the G, this is the most Loud United talk that we've done in 7 years, by the way.
Yeah.
Oliver Gage was the GM they brought in, who had just run a Canadian Premier League team, and they did a big media event for him, an unveiling at Segra, and under a tent that was very windy. I remember watching the stream, and they were just like, "This is going to be a multi-year project. We're gonna sign young players and move them through and develop them." It's just funny. There's so many things in sports are just words.
Yeah.
It's like it's words on top of a business, and sometimes they align and sometimes they're true, but mostly they're just words. until business conditions change.
And I really need some minor league baseball owners to learn, man. It's not like owning a minor league baseball team.
Yeah. For instance, you have to pay the players.
You have to pay the
major
players.
league team doesn't actually pay the salaries for you.
If you want to get a bunch of lone players, I mean, sure, maybe you could figure out how that could work, but you're going to find that tough going. So that's always just the biggest thing about this whole thing. You know, it's been a problem too in like USL. There was I think the Lansing team was like an MLB owner, and he was just like, look, if I need to sell more tickets. And I'm like, yeah, man, this ain't like owning a MLB team. You actually have to pay the players a living salary in order to entice them to come play for your team. And you can't just like lay on a baseball pitch that's like, we're turf coming up. God, those were some terrible games.
And they have like the lowest attendance in USL, right? Loudon, it's like in
one of the lowest. Yeah.
Who could blame them?
Yeah.
They don't. It's just wild. Now they actually have a team worth supporting, but they've just so nuked the value proposition for anybody in Loudon.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think some. I mean,
anyway,
some people.
That's plenty of Loudon United talk.
It's plenty. But it's it's related to DC. I think it's related to the ownership.
Sure.
I think it's related to a lot of what's like just really kind of going wrong. But you know what's going extremely right is the Washington Spirit, despite everything. I have dubbed them. They are running on the power of friendship. The Washington Spirit are 1-0 winners over Orlando. Here's a list of the players that are out: Corey Bethune, Emma Gaines Ramos, Hal Hirschfeld, Laza Jesse, Casey Kruger, Paige Mateer, Brittany Ratcliffe, Trinity Rodman, who we'll talk about in a little bit, Olie Sarr, Andy Sullivan, Kate Wiesner, and then Lacey Sanders was questionable with an ankle. I don't think she played in that game.
She came in the second half, I think.
Yeah, came in the second half. So this team is hurt beyond belief. They take up 3-4 lines in the player availability report, and they went up against the best team, the champion Orlando Pride, and managed to pull off a 1-0 victory. That was not a pretty game by any stretch of the imagination. I would say Orlando maybe missed some chances. There were a couple opportunities they should have had. I thought, again, sorry, I'm losing it a little bit here. I thought defensively the Spirit played well enough to keep them sort of out of the game. Obviously, Aubrey Kingsbury came up with some pretty crucial saves in this game. I think Burnell continues to be an excellent defensive signing for this team. And offensively, they're just kind of trying to figure it out. What did you have from this game? What did you notice?
Want the Spirit to steal Carrie Abello. I thought she was amazing, running up down the left side. I think Marta, I don't know if you've heard of this Marta player, but she's very good. She's very, very, very skillful. Can really make her own opportunities in a very, very small space on a field, and she's always dangerous to shoot. Yeah, no, I think this is the Spirit played ugly on the road. They looked at what the situation they had on the injury report, and they said, well, we got one avenue here, and that's to be really challenging to play against. Sometimes, I listened to the post-game press conference. Sometimes they were at 5 in the back defending, 3 in the back going forward. The goal the Spirit scored was a ridiculous turnover by Morehouse after she tried to do a cutback in her own 6, usually unadvisable. That will say high risk, low reward scenario. But yeah, Gift Monday scores. I think there's a lot of things that you take out of this game that are they're great because this team continues to put up results with a third of their team out, with many of their stars out, with injuries in new places and players getting new opportunities. Bernal coming into the league coming in from Monterey in midseason form and playing like it. Esme Morgan sort of now finally coming into her promise of 2024. I think the team is in an interesting place here. Ashley Hatch gets a concussion. One more body to the pile of in the walking wounded. I'll be curious to see what they can do. I think next week they're at home to Gotham. I think is the next game for them, which is another big game. I would love to see them get a run of Utah Royals and Racing Louisville and some. They already had Bay FC, so I would like to see some of that. They're just not getting that. They're just not getting that right now. Some Chicago Stars. Rose Kowalski gets on the field again, so she's back in contention. I don't know. I think it's impressive that this team is adapting so much. I think this is the benefit of signing a coach like Jonah, and that he has his philosophy is not rigid. The players are moving all over the field in different locations in different spots. He's tactically flexible. He'll go. He's not like some teams in the past, both on the DC United side and the Spirit side, where it's just like we play the same game, home or away, with whoever players next man up. They just come fill the spot, and we're going to do the same thing. Spirit do not do that. They've had to be different, but that is also, I think, Jonah's mentality is to be tactically thoughtful and adaptive to the game. So kudos to him. Kudos to the players who are finding a way to get results as the bad news stories keep coming. They just keep rolling each week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's really any, there's nothing really positive. I think Mura again continues to be really, really good, and certainly a good Andy Sullivan kind of replacement. They just looked, they were just trying to hold on and just try to contain Banda, contain Marta, try to prevent them from really breaking this team open. And then they get a fortunate goal. So it's kind of one of those freak moments that happens in a game. You got to hope. We'll get into a minute. You got to hope that there are some reinforcements coming. I'm very curious, what is the situation? Sarah's been the biggest mystery in my opinion, because no one's been clear as to what her, she just sort of faded off and out, and now it's it's back and for several players.
in the midweek, they asked Jonah about her, and basically she's in trouble. She's not doing well. She's not training. So that continued. They said we're looking to get her some help. And, Trini Rodman, we'll talk about in a second, sort of in the same spot where they're just trying to figure out what the heck is wrong with their backs. It's a tough situation. I don't know how much relief they're going to get. I don't know how many more players they're going to sign. I think they're just going to have to hope that this list shortens, and then they're going to have to make do. I'm really concerned about it. Someone, let's see. I think there's a chance that Sarah doesn't play this season. Her contract is up at the end of the year. I think it's possible based on the way that Jonah responded to that question. It's certainly possible, which is unfortunate because after a rough start, she really was able to convert a lot of chances that were being generated her way. And the team is playing slightly different right now. I don't think, the heyday was the Croy Sar connection, and I'll be interested to see how Croy, when she finally gets all the way back, who they're taking sweet time with, because they know the season is super long and they're still getting results with the 19th player on the roster getting 90 minutes. So yeah, it's what a luxury to have this depth so early in the season, to have it tested seriously. We said the same thing with Heather Stainbrook and Courtney Brown getting minutes in the playoffs. We're this was not what you'd want, but you've got it. So now these players are you're not going to blink when you see them starting next year, because they've had these very important minutes. So that's the good side of this. And the fact that, Chloe Ricketts plays every game now for a few minutes, but that's great. That's what we wanted.
Yeah. And, talk about Corey Bethune. She's the one player that Trinity Rodman's a great player. Trinity Rodman is, when she is on, she's extremely effective. I'm not discounting the impact of Trinity Rodman, but Corey Bethune just gives you that little extra special, just her ability to sort of create chances, to create moments out of the game. I think is something that this team made this team so fun to watch, sort of in that stretch in the summer. I'll be looking forward to her return. I know they're trying to be gentle with her, trying to get her back into the lineup. There is a question though, Sar's out, Andy Sullivan's out. I think Mira's done a good job sort of stepping in, so maybe that's been kind of a replacement. Now you're looking Trinity Rodman, apparently reporting that she is out indefinitely now with her back. She is going to London to try to get work, essentially have a doctor that can sort of figure out what's going on.
It said spirit doctor
in London. Is that what it said? So, I mean, that's part of the
well, you know what it is? It's part of the London City Lionesses, the 9 teams that she owns. There probably is technically a spirit doctor.
Yeah, in London. So she's out for the year. What do we
we didn't say she's out for the year.
She's out indefinitely, but it doesn't feel like this is going to be something that she's going to come back from quickly.
I do not feel comfortable with that. I think that I think we're looking at like months. I think she's back this season. I think that she was playing. It's about pain tolerance. It's about getting herself built up to a way that she can withstand some week to week. Based on absolutely nothing. I think she's probably out until June, and I think she comes back. That's just what I'm guessing. But this is, we and I talked about this a little bit beforehand. Trinity Rodman burst onto the scene, earned a contract extension. At the time, was the most highly paid player in NWSL. Had a coming out at the Olympics. Has played well internationally. Has raised her profile, and since about a year and a half ago, the injuries have started to pick up. And then there was a question, sort of, what is she going to move abroad? Is Arsenal sniffing around? Is Chelsea going to come around? And the question was, what are the Spirit going to do about this? They've got to retain her. Ownership came out and said, we're going to do everything we can to keep this player. She's very important to us. I think it's an open question now when you look at the fact that this team has infinite reach. This team can reasonably and credibly be linked with any player in the world, both from a financial resource perspective and just a credibility perspective. Like, this is a place where people want to go. Again, not discounting what we talked about earlier about the United States as a destination in general from a geopolitical standpoint. It's an open question on, sort of what the Spirit allow to happen. Say she doesn't come back by June. Say she comes back in September and she's just fine. Do the Spirit then offer her another 3-year contract, making her the highest paid player again in NWSL? It's an open question. It's tough. Certainly from a marketability perspective, it's important. But if she's not in the field and she's in England, then that's not a consideration either. It's a really tough spot to be in. What we want is a healthy Trinity playing, but the Spirit I think that they're now getting themselves into a position where they're no longer a one player show. They're a unit.
I think you would have to look at the free agent market. You would have to go look at who might be coming available, who might be, you got a new GM in this team too as well. Mark Krikorian no longer the GM, which I don't think we've really touched on a whole lot.
We did not. No, I think it probably deserved a little bit more attention than it got, which was done. But it certainly deserves some. The fact that he was like, "Yep, see ya, I'm out." I think we talked about it maybe on a Friday show.
Oh, I can't build through the draft anymore. I'm done.
That's no longer interesting to me.
I wonder too. I wonder if there were some comments about how some stress, some complaints from GMs about how they're supposed to handle players now. I keep wondering if he was potentially on that one of those comments of like, oh, I can't do my job anymore, so I'm out.
I can't spray them with a hose anymore. What is this? These kids are soft. I don't know.
I don't think we don't want to say that, but
we're just joking. We don't know.
We are just joking. But yeah, but I think you are Michelle Kang. You are willing. You were investing a lot of money into this team. This is your prized. This is your prized team. All the other teams around are not as big as I say what the Spirit can be. You've built. I mean, I tell you, I was listening to Elliot in the morning, and Elliot in the morning was talking about Trinity Rodman and the fact that she was going away on the Washington Spirit.
That's crazy.
She was breaking down the game. Who didn't come up? DC United. Yeah, not at all. Not even a mention.
They don't really deserve it, to be honest with you. So.
Not even a mention. Once Ben Olsen left, I think Elliot lost all interest in DC United. Because he and Ben were close.
I used to love when I was driving into work when I used to live up in DC or in Alexandria, and I'd just flip it on and Ben would be talking. I was like, this rules so much. But
that shows the reach. That shows the reach of Michelle Kang and what she can do. Are you willing to have a player that's only going to play a few games? And, you've got a free agent market. You're an incredibly attractive team to come to. You're going to be treated right. I think you could. I'm not going to say you could find a better player. I'm sure there's some Trinity Rodman fans that'd be upset. But I'm saying, you could get a player in here maybe who isn't dealing with so many back injuries. It's going to be something to watch. This is going to be fascinating. A fascinating part of this year for the Spirit to watch.
The injury, I mean, we had talked about already how long the injury list is, and we won't continue to belabor it. But it's funny to me that the number of starters that are on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on that list. Some of them are SEIs, but if you made your best choice 11, 7 out of the 11 of those players were injured. Were injured last week. So many of them will be back, but it is wild. Again, if they can do the same thing at Gotham again with sort of a makeshift. I don't know how close some of these players are. Hal Hirschfeld being out this long is a surprise. Ankles, it's not like a high ankle sprain can be a long-term injury sometimes. But that's sort of why you see Esme Morgan playing wingback with Casey Kruger out, Kate Wiesner out. Yeah, it's interesting to watch, and it's really developing that depth for the Spirit. I'm wondering now if they are regretting sending all of the players they signed on loan to Dallas after they were in an international roster spot crunch. Because they signed, there's like 3 players they signed this offseason that they loaned out full season. So I wonder if they're like, well, I guess we can always sign more short-term injury replacement players that are at least not international, so they don't cost us, and they're going to actually get minutes because they're so short-handed.
They're also, I think they're just loaned out for like the rest of the USL season, which will end in the summer. A good point. So they're probably, they might end up being back. I think a lot of it was touch and go. Let's give them, here's some minutes for you, and then it's touch and go while we try to figure this out.
I gotta be honest. I have not been looking in the stat books for the Dallas Trinity, our on loan players. We're not doing our loan report in USL Super League. I feel bad about that. I have to check that out.
Well, I think that's going to do it. Unless anything else you got, we'll see. Probably have a Friday, Thursday show for you on our Patreon page. So definitely check that out. We'll try to keep that up for our Patreon subscribers. $5 tier or higher if you want to listen to that. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will catch you guys next week. Vamos.